Joining me now is Florida Congressman and candidate for governor, Byron Donalds. Thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on your win. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's good to be back with you.
Good to have you back. And as we take a look and turn our attention to this race that you're in, the general election, I do want to start with one of the most important issues facing voters, of course. That is the economy, affordability. Prices have gone up for Floridians under the last two Republican governors. If you become governor, how much time do you think you would need, Congressman, to bring prices down?
Well, listen, it's a great question. Affordability is impacting Floridians. The first area we want to start is with insurance costs. We're already starting to see that some of the insurance loss ratios are coming down in Florida because of the tort reform that Governor DeSantis put into place a couple of years ago. We want to build upon that by doing a couple of things. Some structural reforms to Florida's insurance markets, in our CAT fund and other places. We also want to supercharge some of our home hardening programs. These are for the homes that were built before 1992 that were under the previous building code in Florida. We want to harden those homes quickly. We think by doing those things and a couple others, we can push costs down 20%. On taxes, that's actually going to be in front of our voters this November. We'll see what they decide on Amendment 3. If they don't vote for it, we're going to bring that issue back through our Tax and Budget Reform Commission next year with the goal of eliminating homestead property taxes in the state of Florida. If we can't get the math there, then we want to target relief to seniors on fixed income and working families. The third is with permitting reform. 30%, of the cost of a new home is governmental permitting costs and timelines. We want to modernize that entire process, shrink those timelines down, pushing down the cost of delivering homes to working families in our state.
Congressman, let me ask you about the broader economic environment. As you know, that's playing a big role in your race and every race right now that we are tracking. Gas and oil prices are up. Inflation is higher than when President Trump first took office. President Trump says he should be given an A+ on the economy. Do you agree?
Look, I think the president has done a very good job on this economy, incredibly well. And here's why. Number one, wages adjusted for inflation are up again in the United States. Under the Democrats, their economic policy, wages adjusted for inflation were down, and very much so. That's where the prices just got completely out of control. Number two, when it comes to economic growth, we have had positive GDP growth. It's been actually quite strong since the president's come back into office. Number three, people being able to take more money home. It was President Trump's agenda, myself in Congress, and many Republicans on Capitol Hill that moved to make sure that people who were on tip share weren't getting taxed. People who work overtime not getting taxed. The largest Social Security tax in American in American history for our seniors, a lot of them living paycheck to paycheck. And the fourth one that doesn't get as much credit is the Section 199A small business tax deduction that actually kept small business taxes low for our small businesses all throughout the United States. And we all know that 90% of all jobs come from small businesses in the United States of America. And so that's the economic agenda the president has delivered on.
Let me ask you, though, look, inflation was at 3% when President Trump took office. It's now at 3.4%. He promised he was going to bring prices down on day one. Gas prices are up. Oil prices are up. Did he break that key promise, Congressman?
Well, no, the president did not break that key promise. I think if we're looking specifically to oil and to gas, we all know that that's the Iranian regime who decided to put a stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz because President Trump did the right thing in doing what was necessary to stop the Iranians from acquiring a nuclear weapon. And it's important that we talk about this correctly. If the president just let the Iranians get a nuclear weapon and ignore what was happening from a foreign policy perspective, yes, gas prices will be lower, but the Iranians would have a nuke. They will be threatening our allies in that region. And now we all know they have ballistic missiles. But hold on, Kristen, this is important. We know that they have ballistic missiles that can reach Europe. That is a direct threat to our allies all through the Middle East and through Europe. And that would have larger economic consequences on the American people and our allies, not just for this year, but for decades to come.
But President Trump promised he wasn't going to get the United States into another foreign war. Now, the U.S. has been in the war with Iran for more than 5 months. Congressman, what do you say to people who say that is a campaign promise broken, that they didn't want this war?
Well, first of all, I would say look at President Trump's entire record, not just through his first term as president, but even through this one. The president has not put troops on the ground. The president is not committed to never-ending military entanglements like we saw with Afghanistan and with Iraq.
But he
And
doesn't have a way out yet. But he
Americans-
hasn't found a way out yet, Congressman.
But I will also say you have to give the president the room to negotiate the end of the end of these proceedings, because at the end of it all, the Iranians were incredibly close to having capable nuclear weapons. We know they had more than 12,000 pounds of enriched uranium that was weapons grade. The president had to do what he felt, looking at the intelligence, needed to be done today. And I would say when it comes to these foreign policy issues, this is where it becomes very difficult in the press to litigate these things, because whether you're talking a Republican administration or a Democrat administration, the better question is this: would any president the last 30 years stand by and watch the Iranians become nuclear? Would any president stand by and watch that? And I got to tell you, Kristen, I believe that answer is no. Do I want to see $4 gas? No, I do not. I don't want anybody to have to pay that. I know working families just doing the best they can to make ends meet. They see that every day, and it's a struggle. But we also have to understand that if the Iranians had a nuclear weapon, that would put major geopolitical pressure on the United States and our allies, not to mention economic strain on our allies and us as well, because it would give the Iranians more control over the Strait of Hormuz if they had a nuclear weapon.
Congressman, we're almost out of time, but I do want to let you respond to this. Your Democratic opponent, David Jolly, says voters want change, and he says you are, quote, more of the same. What do you say to voters who see you as a continuation of Governor DeSantis, and they say it's time to change the status quo?
Well, first of all, let's be very clear. People are choosing to come to the state of Florida because they've left New York, they've left New Jersey, they've left California, they've left Oregon. I can go on and on. Connecticut, Massachusetts, you name the blue state. They've left those states for a reason. And they come to Florida because Florida is a common sense state where we prioritize law and order, limited government, free markets. We leave people alone, and they want to be a part of the Florida dream. David Jolly says he wants change, but what I fail to realize is that when you're the #1 state in all of America and you run the list, look at every metric, Florida is #1 top to bottom. Why would you change from that? What, does he want us to be more like Virginia or New Jersey or maybe Connecticut or maybe Michigan?
Inflation has gone up in Florida under Governor Scott, under Governor DeSantis, both in 2011 to 2019 to present. And unfortunately, we are out of time. I invite you to come back when we have more time to discuss all of this.
I will come back because I want to answer that question, because that's a very important question. I want to make sure I get to that one.
Okay, fair enough. And we appreciate your coming on very much. We're going to be tracking your race closely. Thank you.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.